Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead. I am your host Nicholas, and with me is I will wait for that yawn to go away.
It would have been gone. It would have
No,
been gone.
no, I could hear it. I could hear it clear as
Oh!
day.
I couldn't even hear it.
Oh yeah, it was like.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead. I am your host Nicholas, and with me as always are the two final girls, Stephanie and Natasha.
Hello.
Today's episode is recorded in front of a live studio audience, and today we are covering the 1988 horror gloopy sci-fi mess of a film, The Blob. Tasha, would you like to tell us what The Blob is about?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
I had it, and then I had to
Oh.
find a review,
Oh,
so now I have to
no.
go backwards. The Blob is a 1988 American sci-fi fiction horror film co-written and directed by Chuck Russell, a remake of the 1958 film of the same name. It stars Shawnee Smith, Kevin Dillon, and Jeffrey DeMunn, among others. The plot follows an acidic amoeba-like
Sorry.
organism that crashes down to Earth in a military satellite, which devours and dissolves anything in its path as it grows.
Yeah, you just took a long pause, so I was like getting ready to talk, and I was like, oh, wait, sorry, but
Sorry.
no, you're good. So yeah, that's not the film that I watched.
Jesus.
Okay, so what I saw was Meg Penny awakens to find herself on the opposite side of a dead body with specific instructions to kill somebody or face consequences. She is the latest victim of the Blob. No? Got nobody? Shawnee Smith, that played Meg in this, she also played, I believe her name's Amanda, in the Saw franchise.
Okay.
Huh.
So there you go.
I don't know any of the actors in this.
Oh, really?
movie.
I was picking out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that guy, and that guy, and that guy, and that girl, and that girl. Oh, we got playmates in this movie. We got everything. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I didn't realize. Steph and I were talking. There was the girl in the car. We won't give any spoilers away. There's a girl in a car, like at makeout point kind of thing or whatever, and she was in Baywatch. And then when I was like looking up stuff, I was like, it was like talking about how she was a playmate also, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was for Saul, but maybe it was
Okay.
this one. Brian Flagg, a neophyte recruit in Vietnam, finds himself caught in a battle of wills between two sergeants, one good and the other evil, a shrewd examination of the brutality of war and the duality of man in conflict.
It's a Full Metal Jacket.
You're close. Really close. Kevin Dillon, who plays Brian Flagg in this, brother to Matt Dillon,
I was gonna ask.
yeah,
Okay.
was in the movie Platoon.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Never saw it.
Never saw
Me either.
Platoon? Oh
either.
shit. Well, I mean, if you're not into like really gritty, like especially like Vietnam War movies,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, there's like Full Metal Jacket, which you mentioned, and then Platoon. Like those are the two that you go to, and then like 25% of Forrest Gump.
I don't watch any of Forrest Gump.
And
I do
they-
not like that movie.
And they
Really?
probably
No.
all have the same Creedence Clearwater Revival song in them
Yeah.
at some
I'm
point.
sure.
Yes, I'm sure
It
they
ain't
do.
me, it ain't me. And then we just got a copyright strike right there.
Yeah.
Because I was pitch perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so that one wasn't it. So maybe the murderous backwoods Blob family take to the road to escape the vengeful Sheriff Wydell, who is not afraid to be as ruthless as his targets.
What the fuck? I don't know any of these.
Also, no.
Yeah. So Bill Moseley has a very small part in this. Bill Moseley, I'll give you a little bit of his background of movies and stuff, but he plays like soldier number 2, but he also played Otis in the House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and all of that. So Bill Moseley
Right.
he's like kind of like your, I don't want to say B horror, but kind of B horror, like not a scream queen, but he's in a bunch of shit. So like started out like with a little like whatever, but like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Night of the Living Dead remake, Army of Darkness, House of a Thousand Corpses trilogy, Days of Our Lives for 3 episodes.
Okay.
All right.
He was in the Rob Zombie Halloween, Repo the Genetic Opera, and then he was in a couple of, there's a band called Ice Nine Kills. He was in a couple of their music videos, which is like a horror-themed metalcore band.
Mhm.
And Yeah, so he's been around, and yeah, this like we were watching this and I saw him show up and I was like, oh shit, is that Bill Moseley? And then like starting to watch the special features, I was like, oh fuck, it is. Yeah, it is him.
Okay.
Who did he play?
Who did he play
Yeah.
in this?
Yeah.
This one, like the
When
guys with the
when they're down in the sewer, he's one of the
Yeah.
guys. He's the guy in the
Oh.
the white suit. So I think
Got
that's
it.
about all I can give before
Yeah.
spoilers.
yeah.
But yeah, it was just like one of those things. Like I saw his face for like a split second. I was like, that looks very familiar. And this only came like I know him mostly from like the House of a Thousand Corpses and stuff like that. And then he plays Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and he's fucking gross and creepy and all sorts of stuff and like
Huh.
most things. And then he's just like this like non-named character in this. I was like, what the fuck? But what's interesting though is this movie has like an insane. Before we get into budget and stuff, I just kind of want to get this out of the way. So Chuck Russell directed and co-wrote this. He has a very weird, not a lot of movies, but the movies that he did end up directing, very strange lineage. So prior to
Okay.
this, he directed what some consider the best Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 3: The Dream Warriors in 1987.
Okay.
He directed this. His next movie, so this was 88, his next movie was in 1994, the Jim Carrey-led The Mask.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And then he
Weird.
did like a couple little things here and there. I think there was like one like Arnold Schwarzenegger film. And then he ended up doing The Rock led, Dwayne Johnson led The Scorpion King. And I think that's his last
Hmm.
directorial like thing. I was like, what the fuck? But he co-wrote this with a very prominent horror writer and creator, Frank Darabont. Frank
Okay.
Darabont, you all are very familiar with his work. But maybe not, because he's the writer and a lot of people don't really pick up on who's writing the screenplays and stuff.
I never do.
He was
Yeah.
he wrote the screenplay and stuff for Nightmare on Elm Street 3 with Chuck Russell.
Okay.
He then wrote the screenplay for The Fly 2,
Okay.
and then he goes on a run with he wrote Shawshank Redemption,
Whoa.
he wrote The Green Mile,
Oh shit.
The
Great
Mist,
movies.
Okay.
and then he is the showrunner for The Walking Dead. He did not
Oh
he
wow.
didn't create obviously Shawshank, Green Mile, and The Mist. Those are all Stephen King stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then The Walking Dead was actually the comic was written by Robert Kirkman, but he's the showrunner creator of the television series. So we're kind of getting this weird like Walking Dead universe in our few movies that we've been doing because
Yeah.
Yeah.
with vampires and now this. So like going through a lot of research and stuff, I'm starting to see like we're finding like you got some chocolate in my peanut butter people here.
Mm-hmm.
But this came out in 1988. What do you think its budget was?
S-
10 million.
$7 million.
You get Steph, you get to pull a dollar out of an old man's pocket because you got it right on the nose.
Yay! My first time.
$10 million
Yay.
budget. Yeah, because
Wow.
it's special effects heavy, like very
is.
practical effects. Again, makeup and special effects were by Tony Gardner. This guy's got some fucking crazy accolades to his name. First credit he ever got prior to, this was 1983. He helped out on Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Okay.
Cool.
He did stuff for The Return of the Living Dead, Nightbreed, Army of Darkness again. He's responsible for the special effects makeup and stuff in Hocus Pocus in 1993,
Mm.
for Addams Family Values in 1993,
Very cool.
The Craft in 1996.
Okay.
Nice.
Now hold on to your butts. He did the makeup and stuff for the Jackass television series from 2000 2007.
Okay.
Just
Make-
general makeup.
Right.
Makeup has a wide range of stuff,
Yeah.
Apparently.
including makeup for I guess the live actors in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie in 2004,
Okay.
Zombieland in 2009,
Okay.
and Hocus Pocus 2 in 2022.
That's
Okay.
cool.
So this
That's
$10
interesting.
million budgeted creature feature, what do you think it brought in the box office?
I can't be in this one because I already saw it when I was
Oh,
reading.
you already saw it.
Yeah.
Right on.
So, Steph, it's all you.
I honestly don't know, but I'm assuming because it's a remake, it probably got better because sometimes people are really excited. So I'm gonna go with 62 million.
8.2 million.
Oh my God,
This
that's
was
so
Yeah.
sad. It lost
No
money.
bueno.
this was considered a financial
Flop.
failure. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because I'd never seen this until this is all of our first viewing of this
Yes.
film.
Yes.
So I've got a few reviews from critics and stuff from around the web and everything. No real like crazy ratings or anything. But Janet Maslin of the New York Times wrote that the film is more violent than the original, more spectacular, more cynical, and more patently commercial and more attentive to detail. But said that for reasons having nothing to do with the merit, the 1958 film earned a place in history. The remake, enterprising as it is, won't do the same. And I guess I understand what she's saying, but like this is definitely one of those films that like kind of like The Thing. The Thing was a flop, in theaters and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. If I would have seen this younger, like holy shit. like there's certain scenes in this movie that Steph was like, I don't understand how you didn't watch this movie.
Right.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
shit. Like this has got you written all over it. So
Especially like if mom had seen it, like it
Oh
would have
yeah.
been around and you hadn't
Yeah,
seen
and
it.
she said that we just had lunch with we had a family lunch yesterday and this came up and yeah, mom was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that." And I'm like, "Bitch, why didn't you show me this stuff?"
You're left in the dark.
Hi, mom. But horrornews.net obviously later on said the twists that the film takes that differ from the original make it all the more terrifying and oddly enough plausible. And I think that that's true. Like
I agree.
this film definitely took some turns that I wasn't expecting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a delight in that sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're like going through it and it's just like, oh, we're gonna get some gloop, we're gonna get some sploop, and it's like that's all I'm here for. So that's all I'm expecting. And it
Mm-hmm.
it, it did some more than I expected it to do.
It made a lot more sense than you expected it to. Like a lot of these movies are just so far fetched and like out in the crazy realm, but they actually wrote it in a way that makes it like in its universe makes it make sense.
Well,
So
and that's where like the Frank Darabont kind of comes in. It's like very very well written. Like
mhm.
like it or not, the film. It's like a lot of the shit just makes sense and like
Yep.
very subtle foreshadowing that comes back later. And
Yep.
um, you also get to see one of the most majestic mullets that the world has ever bared witness
Legitimately.
to
Yeah.
by Kevin Dillon's character Brian.
Yeah.
And Shawnee Smith's character, Meg, also has one of the most majestic fee mullets
Yes.
that has ever been
It's
captured
that one
on film.
that one's terrible.
Well,
Yeah.
His actually looks good. Hers looks terrible.
guess what? Both were hair extensions at director Chuck Russell's insistence.
Insistence.
Yes.
I
Dylan
insist you have this hair.
Yeah.
Dylan reportedly really hated them, but this is how Russell wanted the characters to look. So he was
Okay.
like, all
It's very
right,
80s.
all right, Shawnee, I want it to look like you've got roadkill hanging off of the back of your head. And then Kevin, you're going to have like 3 mops.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Well,
the
mop-
curls.
The mops work, but the roadkill does not. Sorry.
But yeah, like it was insane. If you haven't seen The Blob, this is one that you've got to rent right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick.
Oh, hey, hey, we got to cover, like they can't all be movies that you want to watch. I got to watch movies I don't want to watch. It
Not
just so
very
happens.
often.
It just so
Yeah.
happens.
The balance is a
Bullshit.
little out of
Oh.
balance.
True.
You shut your face. But what was I gonna say? Now you got me thrown off.
We have to rent it.
Yeah, you got to rent it.
Yes.
But that tends to be the case. What it seems like with some of these like cult films and stuff.
Kind of. Yeah, that's true.
But if you like stuff like The Thing and all that, like check it out. But we're probably going to be getting into spoiler territory soon. If you have
Yes.
never listened to us, this welcome. What a weird episode to find us on. We are a horror film club So every week we give out homework at the end of the episode to watch.
Mhm.
Most of them are free to, well, quote unquote, free to stream because they're on your services of choice. But every once in a while, we dig a little deeper and find something outside the box, because that's kind of the point, is like introducing ourselves to newer, or not newer, but I mean, we do cover newer horror films. But so at the end of the episode, we give out homework, and then we hopefully all watch it. Well, we three have to watch
Hopefully.
it, but the listeners at home, the live
Yeah.
studio audience here, um, can listen to it, and then when we get into spoiler territory, you can tell us how horribly wrong we are, how much you like our opinion. How dare you make me pay the $3.99 to watch this? At least you didn't
Yes.
have to rent it twice, Tasha. What film was
Thank God.
what
Yeah,
film was
Silent
that?
Hill.
Shit. Oh my God.
It doesn't get worse than that.
I
Having to
know.
rent Silent Hill
I know.
twice.
And I think Silent Hill was worse than this. So yeah, no.
Ah, get out of my
Oh,
lawn.
boy.
Get off my lawn. You girls, I swear. But going back before we get into spoiler territory, so Shawnee Smith, she plays Meg in this. And she later on earned the job of Amanda Young in the Saw franchise because James Wan and Lee Wanell, you know those names because we've covered the Conjuring film,
Mhm.
So those guys, they were fans of this film, and James Wan admitted that he had a crush on her in his teenage years and wanted to cast her because of that.
He was
great.
digging the roadkill
The
apparently.
mullet and all.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
baby.
God.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. No.
So, before we get into, I feel like a broken record today. I'm kind of spaced out today, guys. I'm sorry. I haven't gotten enough caffeine in my system. But it was 1988.
Okay.
1988, the world box office.
Oh no.
We've covered this year before.
I don't remember.
Beetlejuice at number 10, Cocktail,
Okay.
Naked Gun,
Oh, okay.
Die Hard, Crocodile Dundee, Twins, Big, Coming to America, Rain Man, and the top grossing film by a absolute fuck ton was Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
So that
Mm.
was a really good year. I watched almost all of those movies, and those were all really good movies. So okay, 88. Good job.
For horror, this is why we've covered this year. In horror, Killer Clowns from Outer Space came out
Oh, well,
Love
that's
it.
why we were just fucking talking about that.
this year. Yeah, because the way that Killer Clowns opens up and the way this opens
This
up
movie
are
is
almost
exactly the same.
and they came out the same year. It's crazy. It's
Oh my God, that is
a homeless
okay.
guy with a dog finds something out in the woods and shit
Mhm.
goes sideways. Maniac Cop came out this year. Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
Okay.
Pumpkinhead. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Friday the
Wow.
13th, 7, The New Blood.
Wow.
7.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and just so you're keeping track at home, Friday the 13th came out in 1980, the first one. This is
Oh, wow.
1988, and the 7th one's
There's
coming
7
out.
of them.
They
Oh my
basically
They're
put
just
one out a
busting
year.
those out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
you're coming, like, this is where, like, everything is just drenched in sequels, So
Yeah. Well, we're kind of in that area right now too,
Yeah,
where
and-
everything's sequels. You were occasionally getting a one-off, but that's not happening a lot lately either.
yeah, you're
so.
not getting any big budget one-offs. It's if it's coming from a big production house, it's fucking Wild Wild West 7 starring Will Smith or some shit
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we basically just got that. We got like another Bad Boys film, like out of fucking
Mm.
nowhere.
We
and
did,
It's
number
like
4.
it's doing well. That's awesome for
It
them, I
is.
suppose.
I
But like,
know.
were people actually asking for more Bad Boys? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't run in the Bad Boys circle.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, well, Deadpool 3 is coming out. Well, Deadpool Wolverine, which is the third movie, is coming out. That's the only one that I'm just like, this is going to be the greatest movie ever made. So that's fine.
The greatest movie ever made.
Probably,
That's-
yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Steph-
ever.
Complete sidestep. Let's see what everyone's take is on this. So talking about Deadpool Wolverine, do you
Yes.
think it's this goes to you, Tasha, as well? Do you think it's domestic box office or not domestic, worldwide box office? Do you think it makes over $1 billion?
No.
This is my thing. It's rated R. So I'm
It doesn't
saying
matter.
no.
It's still going to.
Steph is
because
like-
the other fuck yes, the other one did. So yes, it's going to.
Did it?
I think number 2 did. Number 2 beat out number 1
Well,
in
that's
its box
usually
office.
Number
how a lot
2 was better. Yeah.
Oh, you think it was
So
better? I think the first
I
one was
didn't
Yeah.
think.
better.
I'll say I think the first one was better. I love them both, but this one's going to be just fucking. I'm so excited again.
Yeah, I put it in our calendar for the time that we should probably go see it, and it's on the Thursday that it comes out. And Mom posted something and tagged me about it, so I told her, I was like, "You want to go see it with us? We're going to go see it." So Mom might go see it with us. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm always trying to drag her to movies, and she's always like, "I don't want to leave my house."
Yeah, that's true. Deadpool 2 grossed worldwide $785.8 million.
Yeah,
Okay, so
that's what I'm
it didn't
saying.
break the 1 billion. I thought it
It's
did.
because it's rated R. Like, there are very few rated R films that crack that $1 billion mark.
I agree, but I
That
think
is-
this one will.
You think this because it
I
was
really do.
when the first one came out, it was the highest grossing rated R movie when it came out.
Yes.
Like, that was the big deal. But like, now people are
Yeah.
like, now it's like, it cross the $1 billion mark, and it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
That
think,
is a
I think
lot
it will.
of
I thought it
fucking-
did, but yeah, it will.
It's-
I
That's a
think.
huge benchmark jump between
Yeah.
like the millions to $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's
been
just
a-
unfathomable.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been a billionaire, so like I don't even have an idea of what $1 million is anymore. I just can't even count all the zeros in my checking
You're
account.
just
You're
counting
ridiculous.
billions at this point.
Yes.
It's not hard
yes.
to count zeros, Nick, when you've got one big zero in your checking account. No, I'm a billionaire. Get off my lawn. Anyway,
Oh my
all right,
God, you're ridiculous.
let's get into spoiler territory.
Okay.
Let's talk this movie up. Let's
Okay.
talk this movie down. Last
Okay.
chance.
Okay.
If you haven't seen The Blob, you can rent it. There's also a really nice I got the collector's edition Blu-ray from Shout Factory, and it's under $20 and it looks fucking great. Like,
if you like gloopy movies, you should probably put this in your collection realistically. I
Yeah,
mean, it is the quintessential like practical effects gloopy movie.
yeah, this is, you like melting stuff, we got you in spades. Yeah. So, yeah, if you like 80s practical effects and have not
Mhm.
seen this, you have to do yourself a favor and just check it out. And it's short too. It's like an hour and a half. Like, perfect 80s horror, man. Like, it's so
Yeah.
fucking tight. But yeah, here we go. We're going to get into it. We're going to get all gloopy, sploopy, spooky, and talk about The Blob.
The Blob from 1988.
Yes. So, Tasha, can you give me that 10 out of 10, that delightful 10 out of 10?
Yep. Sure can. Alan was right about Thistle. This documentary was crazy. I remember when this happened. My mother told me about Happy Dream Void Adventures. Here is no why. Day
What?
8. Yeah, this is what I got sent. I should have
This is
My-
what it goes.
Mind you,
just wait.
mind you, before we keep going on, I found this on IMDb.
Okay.
The user name for this was, I screen capped it. Can anyone read this? So I don't know. I just read like the top of this and I was like, this is insane. I'm sending this to
Okay.
Tasha.
Okay.
Day 8. I should have never watched that tape. Should have read the journals first. My front door showed back up today, but it won't open. It's still night out. I think whatever God there was left and took the sun with it. Day 10. The door is gone again. And now, so are the walls. I think everything is gone now. I'm going to keep walking, winding in a continuous and gradually widening or tightening curve, either around the central point or on a flat plane or about an axis so as to form a cone.
What
So-
the fuck?
So yeah,
It's creepy reading it.
that
It
was
is creepy.
that was a 10 out of 10 review for The Blob. I'm gonna watch that. That being said, I then told Tasha to just look up another 10 out of 10 that gives like
An actual review?
Actual review.
That's
Somebody-
not randomly put
That's
somewhere.
not a side quest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
literally.
I saw that and I was like, what the fuck?
Were
am
they
I
watching The Blob and they were like, I don't know where to go and now my door is gone?
They were like tripping on acid and
Yeah.
accidentally walked into their closet.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, oh, gotta get my word out there. And so they're like, to IMDb I go.
Okay.
All right. Here's a real one. By me being a 100% all caps horror movie fanatic, I was literally mind blown away
Whoa.
when they
I'm getting
mind
I
Mind
blown
blown
away.
away.
I want that on a shirt.
Mind blown away. Yes.
I was literally mind blown away when they did this remake of The Blob from the 50s. Of course, nothing beats the feeling like the original, which I love so much. The innocent love is in the air. Racing teenagers, pretty girls in dresses. Those were the days.
Yes.
Back to this new Blob. It's faster, more vivacious, and scarier. Acting is top notch, along with action, with a great upgrade from the 50s version. This should have eliminated all awful sequel. Beware the Blob one.
Yeah.
It was too silly. Okay, so that must be what they're saying about the original.
No, they're saying that about the sequel. The sequel is ridiculous. It came out like in the
Oh.
60s or 70s.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, it's called
Gotcha.
Beware the Blob, and it's
I get it now. Okay.
Yeah.
The only flaw I have with this version of the Blob was a government tested botched up experiment and not botched up experiment and not came from space like the original, which they should have kept out the government scenario altogether. Nonetheless,
Disagree.
yeah,
hard
I also
disagree.
Yep.
this is my only part that I liked about the movie. Nonetheless, this was still a great sci-horror film, and in my opinion, needs to be in the all caps cult category. 3 exclamation points.
Okay.
So I have advised to anyone who has never seen it, go see wherever you can, DVD, Blu-ray, movie apps, all caps, from anywhere. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah. I can get on board with that shit.
Yeah.
I also
except-
have a review from Wyatt, if you don't mind.
Oh, did he
Okay.
watch it?
He watched the second half this morning with me.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
fuck
yeah.
Yay!
Yes.
And his review for all movies, quote, in the 1900s, mind
Okay.
you.
Shut the fuck up.
His review was, all movies made in the 1900s say that they're scary, but they're actually funny.
Hey,
That's awesome.
that's great. Like,
That's
see,
great.
now he has to. Oh my god, yes! It's getting it. It's getting to
Yeah.
him. Yes.
Yeah. Just the fact that he called out the 1900s.
Hundreds.
Was, I felt so old.
Did they take their wagons and carriages to go make this film?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you're not wrong, but ooh, that sounds weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
He's not wrong. This movie's not scary. It's just
No.
ridiculous.
Well, and that's something like I can't think of. It's cool that like like that doesn't scare him because this
Yeah.
movie, especially like in that second half and stuff, it gets gross. Like it gets like
Mhm.
legit gross at times and stuff.
Mhm.
And the fact that he was just kind of like, this is ridiculous. It's like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
man, you get it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the point.
We were
of it.
talking about the effects and kind of comparing it to like other things that's real, and
Yeah.
he was
Why-
having a good time with it.
Wyatt,
Good.
you come over to Uncle Nick's house. We'll watch some like uber gloopy, ridiculous films that won't spook you because they're just so crazy. We're gonna
Yeah.
watch Psycho Gorman. Yes.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
Yeah.
I'd allow that.
You would
Yeah.
love that.
Honestly, I mean, if he just watched the second half, because the first half would make you fall asleep, of Dead Alive, he would think that was crazy.
Oh
and
my
fun.
god.
Oh Jesus!
Wesley
I don't know
still
about that one.
Wesley still fucking talks about this movie. Like yesterday, we were talking about
That's
this movie.
great.
Yeah, we were talking about like because I've got a tattoo for Sydney like on my chest, and he's like, "You still got to get one for me," and I was like, "I know, we got to figure it out and everything," and he's like, "I want you to get a tattoo of the organ monster from Dead Alive." I was like,
Whoa.
"That's what you want me to get a tattoo of a
He does.
butthole?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah. And we're like, really? It's like, yeah. He's like,
For
that's
him.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
his-
Amazing.
That is literally his favorite thing ever. I was like, so if I found you a
Yes.
Dead Alive shirt, would you wear it and everything? He's like, only if it has the organ monster on it. I was like,
Yeah.
good lord, dude. All right. He just
Wow.
loves
Yeah.
that little butthole.
Yeah. It was so creative though. It was fun. That's the best part of that movie, honestly.
Well, you don't like the big titty monster
Oh
mom?
my god, no, that was terrible. That's the worst part of the movie. But
All
yeah,
right.
so
All right, Steph.
I gotta get
I didn't proofread yours at all, Steph, because on IMDb this is the only 1 out of 10 review.
Whoa.
okay. I wondered why it was
Wow.
so short. It's literally one paragraph, so I
Yep.
am surprised.
I looked it up and I was just like, well, that makes this easy because like usually
Yeah.
I'll just kind of skim it to make sure it doesn't go into like anti-Semitic stuff or whatever. When I like kind of skimmed over Tasha's, I was like, someone's like having some troubles, but we're gonna read this out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 1 out of 10. It is very short, guys. Awful remake. The film starts off well, but instead of a good, creepy monster movie, it decides it wants to be a silly government conspiracy. The mixing of genres doesn't work. Lies.
I don't believe that at all.
I don't either.
I wonder,
I-
real quick. I wonder, is that a lot of people's problem with this film? It
Sounds
seems
like
like it, and I think that that's one of the best
Because
parts.
the original wasn't that way, and they have
Yeah.
that expectation probably.
But I
They
never
just want it to be a space monster.
I never
Apparently.
I never want remakes to be exactly as they were because if that was the case, I just
Right.
watch the original. I want to
Yeah.
I want someone else's view on it.
Yeah. So,
Go on.
okay, anyway, the mix of genres doesn't work. I see that it totally flopped at the box office. I could also see that in the forums I frequent, it's never mentioned as being a worthy. I think they meant they
Worthy.
just yeah, but it's not together. They put a space between it. So
Oh.
yes, it's worthy remake.
Okay.
Both of these things are well deserved. That was literally it. So it is a remake. I get that, but like when we watched like the special features of the talking about like I've never seen the original. I've never seen any of these, and we just watched it for the podcast. And like they were talking about how in the original there really isn't a lot of gore or anything like that. It's just a blob going through because it was the 50s, right? So
Correct.
like that there was like that.
Back
The
then-
80s is when all the crazy shit started coming
Yeah,
out
in the
movies.
50s and 60s, I want to say it's early 60s is when you start getting like Herschel Gordon Lewis, which does like, Blood Feast, and like that's when like gore
Starts?
the grindhouse stuff, and it's
Okay.
really cheesy, but it's like no one has ever seen
Has
this.
ever done it? Yeah.
So like in the original Blob, it's just like basically like Jello kind of falling
Going
on top
over,
of people,
yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
yeah,
God.
that's what it's
It's what they
Yeah.
could do. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it sounded like. So I was like, this is definitely a different adaptation of it because you're definitely getting the more horror aspect of it in this. And I thought all the practical effects in this movie were amazing. Like for the 80s, like
Yeah.
they were what they were intended to be. Some of them were very grotesque and ridiculous, and then other ones were like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect that." And like I really enjoyed that. I expected to go in this movie and fucking hate it. I'm not gonna lie, because like I did not like Reanimator. I haven't liked a lot of like some of our movies that we've watched, but I actually really liked this, like surprisingly so, because it was so well written.
Yeah, like when we were getting ready to go downstairs, I was like, "You ready to go watch The Blob?" And she was like, "I
Oh.
suppose." I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
that's
come
exactly
on."
what I said. I
was
said
like-
I don't want to watch
I was like,
this.
"Come on!"
Yeah.
Like,
feels
come on!
like
Like,
work.
it's short.
Yeah.
It could be fucking great. It could be fucking terrible. Like, and then you
Yeah.
get to, if it's terrible, you get to just shit on it, But
Yeah. Yeah.
like talking about the special effects and stuff of this, the thing that I thought was really interesting when they were, what was his name? The special effects director, got him up here. Tony Gardner was talking about like how they were going about making the creature make sense. So like the reason he's acidic and stuff, the blob is acidic and stuff, is like they're like, just think of like basically taking a stomach and turning it inside out, and that's basically what it is. So it's digesting everything into itself.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very acidic and all this. And then they're like, it starts off clear and it ends up to pink and then to red, and that's because of all the blood and stuff
Mhm.
that's getting into it, because
That
that's
makes
what
sense.
it's feeding on is
Mhm.
the blood and everything. And I was like, that's
that.
fucking cool. And through that, like when they're talking about how cynical and how violent and everything it is, this creature does not give a shit who it kills.
Mhm.
It will kill the supposed lead of the film. It will
Mhm.
kill a child. It will kill the nice deli shop like person, if you like them, this is very Game of Thrones. If
It
you
is.
like them, they're gonna get
They're
fucking
dead.
murdered,
Yeah,
and it's gonna be
yeah.
gross.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, it was fucking crazy.
It was
I
kind of
agree.
nice that it was like it wasn't discerning as to who it killed because
Mhm.
then you didn't know, like you weren't able to be like, okay, well these two, because I thought the deli woman,
Yep.
Fran, I
Yep.
thought Fran and the sheriff were going to be the people that the movie followed, and then they were very quickly offed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and
I liked that about it a lot because it doesn't have a mind in that sense. It's just like it just feed me, and that was
Yeah.
the entire intent behind the bad guy, I guess, in this film.
yeah, and so like talking about Fran, her scene and stuff. So the way they got that scene shot, so obviously she's in a phone booth and it's engulfing it and everything, and you see the sheriff that she was going to meet at 11. You see his
Mhm.
face deteriorating in
That
it.
was amazing.
So fucking good.
It was so good.
But the way like then the blob just crushes in and everything,
Mhm.
how that was done was they made a miniature model of it, and it was like I think 3 foot tall with a doll inside of it that looked like Fran, and then they used air mortars to blow in to make it as violent and as crushing as possible, which it's
It
insane.
works.
Like, and it's
It's
done
clever.
so well that like obviously you can tell it's fake because a human body's not going to do what that does without the
Yeah.
person fucking dying. But
Yeah.
you couldn't have told me that that was a miniature that they made and did that to, because it's like
Yeah.
so seamless.
Yep.
But going back to like nobody's safe, according to an interview, Chuck Russell deliberately stole a page from Hitchcock's playbook by killing the character that everyone would identify as the hero halfway into the film, so everyone would just go, geez, if he can die, anyone could.
Literally, that's what the whole movie is. It's like you don't even know if they're gonna get like murked or not. But basically, so like I liked this movie, which was like I said, we started out saying, is like it literally fucking opens exactly like the killer clowns from outer space, which I was like, that's awesome. The cool part is that the dog didn't seem to get offed. So like I
Yeah.
was like, yay, the dog was saved. Because I think the dog got I don't remember in Killer Clowns of Outer Space, but there was a dog in Killer Clowns of
Yeah,
Outer
he does,
Space.
because the homeless guy's like running after. He's like, Buttons or whatever the dog's
Yeah,
fucking name
yeah.
is.
Yeah. And so I liked that it was like it was that opening and then, it just kind of keeps progressively getting worse. And then the scene where he's like chopping off his like arm and the guy's like trying to help him, like he takes the weapon away from him or whatever. I was like that was kind of cool. Like you got to see like the starting of this. It didn't just start out as a giant thing. It's progressive. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that about this movie. I also, like I said, the writing was great because the beginning of the movie is like he's trying to jump his motorcycle across this like ravine and he
Because
fucking
he's a
crashes it.
badass.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a bad. Well, he's a bad. He's just like fucking around, right?
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm gonna try this shit. And there's like an old man sitting in the fucking woods, and I'm just like living with this dog by himself, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And then he like jumps it, and I was like, what the fucking purpose is this? This is so stupid. Just like it later in the movie when this kid puts a jacket on, and it's like his mom's like, you can't go out without your jacket. And then there's like other bits and pieces of this that's just so innocuous, like you wouldn't even think that that fucking makes a bit of difference. But as the movie plays on, every single bit a piece of this makes sense. Like they show us when he goes to the place to go get like wrenches to fix his bike because he fucked it up. He's meeting with a guy that he works in the garage with, and the guy pulls out fucking beers. He's giving a 17-year-old a beer. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
out of this freezer thing, and it's like a truck, but it's like a freezer, like a snow truck, and he like hands it to him. And like that snow truck is good. It's in the film later. So it's not like this unintentional piece. Like you don't really think that it's going to be important, but it ends up being important in the storyline. And I really liked that about every little thing that shouldn't you wouldn't even consider like being a part of it. It does, because like the jacket gets stuck in a door. And like that's
I
the
don't
reason why
understand
they're
how that happened though.
Well,
There were a lot of bits in this
the
movie
hood,
where it's
the
like
hood.
I
It was
don't
the hood.
understand. I understand. I get the hood, but how?
He was
There were,
running
I
out
had a
the
lot
door
of
shut.
hows and whys in this movie.
yeah. I can see I can see part of that.
You've
but-
never closed like your jacket in a door or anything like that?
No, not like that.
Oh.
Not in the hinge facing the building.
It was the door shutting on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like in the hinging mechanism. It was where the
Oh, it
door.
looked like it was in the hinging
Oh,
mechanism.
no.
Mm-mm.
No, they were racing out and and it caught him. And
Yeah.
then they had to fight with the
the
zipper
of
that we noticed earlier when the mom was putting it on, that the
Yep.
zipper was finicky And
Yep.
the wrench that he needed to work on his bike with, he ended up using to get out of the truck.
The
Yeah.
old trusty wrench that
God
just
damn right.
happened to
It didn't
wrench
just
and solve
happened
That's the
multiple
thing,
everything.
times.
though. That's the
Yeah.
thing, though. It didn't. That's what we're talking about. It didn't just happen to be. There is a 100% reason why he has it. So
Yeah.
it definitely stays away from like that whole just like there just happened to be this rocket launcher here, which I mean there technically
Yes.
There
is
was
a point
that
where there is
exactly.
a
Yeah.
rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Literally.
Just
Yeah.
happened to have it in the sewer.
Yeah.
That is the one time that it comes to mind that it was like that. But like every other time, it just like it's like, they're talking about that it's kind of like a ski resort town and all this stuff, and like they're not getting snow, so they've got this snow truck which does exist for like big slopes and
Yep.
stuff and all that. And yeah, that's how we're gonna deal with the blob at the end and all this
Yep.
stuff. And
I just thought it was like, even though some of it was cheesy, it was like,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
like why are you running in the sewers? But like they had to run in the
Exactly.
sewers because she couldn't find a way to get out, and so it was like, oh, let's go down this manhole. And I was like, this is stupid, but also great. And so I'm like, where are they gonna go with this? And I just thought it was fascinating. Like it
Yeah.
was just a different thing than you would expect, I guess.
Let's talk about the sewers for a second.
Okay.
So clearly it can get into the sewer
correct.
Yeah.
by the holes,
Yes.
but then
Yes.
the scientists think that they can keep it in the sewer even though it's already able to get in. Therefore,
yeah.
it can also get out.
Yeah, the scientists are absolute idiots through this.
Yeah,
whole
they
film.
are. They literally are fucking morons. Like they send this thing to space, it comes back like, oh shit, now it's an organism that like is
Yeah, it
now
was-
eating everybody. We created this. Now look what we've created. We don't know shit about shit. And it's like it's like the average Joe in this storyline
Right.
actually fucking gets this more than the scientists that are just
It's
like,
the
it's
hubris.
fine. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
So-
they sent it out because it's just bacteria that they sent out to space to see what happens to bacteria in space, and what happens is it mutates into this fucking organism.
Blob.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's going to fucking feed on stuff, and they think that like, oh, we can just contain it and all this stuff, and
Yep.
it does not work that way, because like when they think they've got it, they're literally just standing over a manhole cover with machine
Yeah.
guns, brrr, which bullets have done
Does
nothing.
nothing.
Does
Nope.
nothing the whole time, and he's like,
But
I'm gonna just throw some
they're
explosives
idiots.
in there.
Yes.
I literally
Why
at
do
that,
scientists have machine guns to begin with? They're
Because-
scientists.
well,
Well, they're government
they're
officials.
military scientists.
Yeah.
Is what I believe it is to be.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I have a
Yeah.
big
and it
problem
was
with the
the
writing
80s.
around.
It was
Yeah.
the 80s.
So then of course the scientists have to be in giant white hazmat suits
Oh,
to
hell
prove
yeah.
that they're scientists.
Well, 'cause
Yeah.
they
Go
don't want
into a plastic tent because
Well, and
that'll save them.
they don't want to
Yeah,
get
I thought that
contaminated
too.
because all they know is that it's bacteria. So it does
Yeah.
make sense because they're like explain like they're using it like they think that it could be contagious in some way because it's bacteria.
They keep mentioning that.
Yeah,
and
but
then
there's no connection though
What do you mean?
to the how they said was his name Brian curly
Yeah.
mullet.
Yeah.
How they kept saying like he was contagious, but the
They were
only
s-
thing that's going after anybody is this giant blob that has nothing to
they're-
do with the
yeah,
people.
they're
The people are
saying
just
that,
getting
though.
eaten.
They're saying that though to discredit Brian because
get that.
'cause- yeah, so it doesn't matter what they're saying to the populace because they're saying don't listen to him, he's contagious, he's fucking crazy, we're here to protect you. But they've also said like behind closed doors that they don't give a shit about these people. They just need
Yeah.
to get this organism. So that's all they give a shit about. They're gonna hey, guess what? It's 2024. You can probably pick up on that not a lot's changed. They're going to say whatever the fuck they want to
Mhm.
get what they want.
But they must think that in some capacity it could be contagious because they have their hazmat suits and they have their little bubbles that they go into.
think that's
and then they
standard
take their
protocol.
hoods off.
I think that's
Standard
standard protocol
protocol.
for what they're doing because
For
I mean,
sci-fi horror movies.
Yeah.
well, no, I mean like any time that there is like a foreign what do you,
Body?
yeah, that would-
Pathogen.
yes, whatever, foreign substance, anything, that's going to happen because they don't know what the fuck is happening. So they're trying to preserve themselves under any circumstances because they want to preserve their work. They don't give a shit about anybody else.
And they
Mhm.
also aren't going into this knowing it's a blob.
No,
Like they're going in thinking this is just like it could be like warfare with fucking whatever, and they're just trying to get rid of it or to contain it. And so they're going in containment. And so it's not like they're gonna just randomly swap out their clothes and be like, well, but it's not like this. It's actually a blob. Let's take our clothes off. So like that's how I looked at it.
And
Was
it's-
like they're trying to be whatever.
and it's government property. Like it,
Yeah.
so they're going, yeah, they're going to be armed and all this stuff because they don't like want outside sources to get a hold of it. So to me, it all makes sense
It
in
makes
that
sense
sense.
to me. It's a little
Granted,
over the top,
yeah,
but
granted, the shooting down and throwing like
yeah.
all of that stuff,
Right.
it's just 80s cheese.
unnecessary.
But
Yes.
the idea of like the straight up hazmat suits, the quarantining of everything,
Mhm.
doing what they got to do, not knowing exactly what they're dealing with, but acting like they know what they're dealing with. That all makes sense to me because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, these are just people. Like they're going to be stupid and they're going to have fucking like the fucking I know what's going on and it blows up in their face, you know. But
Literally.
Literally, yeah.
that being said, so you said that the scientists were your favorite part of the movie, like Tasha, that was the thing that made the movie interesting to you?
The concept, not the
Yeah,
scientists
no, I know.
themselves, but the concept that it wasn't just an alien blob with no purpose other
Mhm.
than just eating people. There was like an origin to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And I
agree.
think that like and there's not to not off the top of my head, but there wasn't like a lot of expository dialogue. It was just
Mm-mm.
kind of like as you went on, you just kind of learned stuff, which again, I really
And
like.
like you saw the flag on the
Yeah.
meteor later on. Yeah.
Yep, it's just like there it is, and it's like the meteor's the top of it because it's just the debris that is gathered on it, and then, yeah, you see that it's like a space probe that just went out and it's come back, and of
Mhm.
course, like they're going to be right on top of it. What are you doing, Tasha?
I'm sorry. I hit my cable.
It's, it just sounds like you're going like,
Oh no. I itched my foot and I hit the cable
Oh,
of
okay.
my mic.
I thought there was something crawling up on your table to get you.
Oh
Uh,
god. God, I hope not.
but what was it? Yeah, so it all makes sense like why they would be there right off the rip because some people probably have a problem with like, oh, it lands and then obviously the government's right there. It's like it's a space probe. They're going to be tracking it and once it lands, like they know where it's landing and everything. Like it all of that shit like just it doesn't take a lot of like common knowledge to like understand like that is kind of how that would work, like
Well, you know what it reminds you of, and maybe this was adapted from it, is just like the beginning of the Venom movie. So like they send this thing into space, comes back with a fucking organism in it, and it gets landed, and then all these people show up in suits like this to go get fucking whatever's in their spaceship that they had sent into space, and they were trying to collect something, and then it went crazy. This I mean, obviously Venom is actual like a character itself, but
real
like
life events based
yep,
on real
real
life events.
yes, but like he actually has a personality and stuff like that. But like, and all of the symbiotes do. But it's very like a similar concept to me is what it reminded me of. It was like this like entity that came back and then but this one just gets bigger and bigger as it eats and eats
Yeah.
and eats and
Yeah,
eats.
and that's awesome because like in my book it's awesome because like you're just seeing like as it's going on, like it gets Paul like in the hospital and stuff and it's just kind of like this like blanket size and it drops on him. And that scene caught me off guard like so hard because I understand that like on the cover and stuff you don't see him on it. So Steph was like, "Oh, I figured he was going to die because uh he's not on the cover." But I didn't take that into account. So when it fucking plopped on him and then you see it like pulling him back and Meg grabs his arm and pulls it the fuck off, I was like, oh shit. That
Yeah.
scene right there almost got them an X rating for this
Oh
film
wow.
because the original cut that they ended up cutting, and I guess they're lost to time, or maybe it's on the Blu-ray. I don't know. But there was like a lot of blood splatter when it happened. And I don't remember there being an excessive
There
amount.
wasn't any
No.
excessive
But
blood in this movie.
but because of that, it almost got an X rating
Hmm.
because
That's
it
weird.
was gratuitous blood splatter.
But didn't the Evil Dead 2 come out prior to this and that was gratuitous blood?
I don't think that
Oh yeah.
that came out way earlier, but that I believe predates the MPAA.
Oh, that makes sense.
I
Okay.
believe, and also
Okay.
if let me think here, I'm not a historian or scholar on this stuff. I believe that might have come out before the MPAA was established. Reanimator came out after the MPAA was established, but they decided to not go for a rating at all because they would have gotten an X rating.
Yeah.
So that's why it didn't get into a lot of theaters. This movie wanted to get into a lot of theaters and stuff. Like, it was a TriStar picture, all this stuff. So they did want to get it there. So they were like, what can we do? What colors can we use that won't be as, so like that's why it's all gloopy and stuff. Like when people are melting, you're not seeing a lot of blood. There is in that scene where Paul, like, you can see the blood running from his eyes as the, like, it's getting like burnt and melted and everything, but it's not like gushing everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, there really isn't a lot of gush in this movie.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, like, I'm completely desensitized with that stuff, so I don't know who they're trying to save when it's like, we can't have blood splatter, but we can have a face deteriorating in acid. I don't understand the difference.
I know. Or like that weird part where there was blood in this part, I guess,
yeah.
but when they were going down the sink drain, so
that's
like,
what I was going to say.
comes up, there was blood there, but it wasn't like gratuitous. Like, it wasn't like pouring a lot. And
that
then
caught
like
me off guard so hard.
Yeah. I really liked it. I thought, like, obviously it's not really realistic, but like I like the concept
The
of
whole
like
movie's not realistic.
I know.
Realistically, okay, yes. Can a person get pulled through a drain? Probably not. But if this thing is strong enough and it does not care and it's just pulling it in like a vacuum, it 100% could, because people, like, when like space decompression and stuff, you can get sucked through fucking nothing and it'll just crush everything. And that's basically what fucking happens.
I try to think of it as like acid, so like it's just burning it away. So like I'm trying to use that suspended disbelief thing. But anyway, but like it was I thought that was a very unique take. It just like I think all of the kills in this, like, realistically that we're focused on, like, we got to see it firsthand, they were all very different and they're all very unique. And I really liked, even though I didn't like necessarily the face of this one, I liked the way that it was portrayed with the guy that was like kind of mildly a rapist, in the car, with the girl that he took out on, like, kissing.
He would have been a rapist.
Whatever.
If
He would have.
He was
exactly.
rapist in progress.
Yeah. Like, I thought that was so funny, but in a messed up way, where he's like, I'm gonna get you some more to drink. You're gonna sit in the car. We're gonna make out. And then he gets out.
Coolest car trunk ever.
It was. He gets out and he's like pouring her more wine. He's got fucking strawberries in his trunk, and he's like coercing her. But he's like brilliant at this, like, in a bad way, but like in a funny way, because he's got a whole fucking cup of fucking rings in his car. Like, he's like, oh, you got my ring around your neck. Now you're like my girl. And then in the trunk you see all the rings. So he's doing this over and over and over again to these fucking girls.
Goddamn right.
They're fucking believing it. And I was like, this guy's a douchebag, which from like the beginning, because isn't he the friend that was going to get the condoms?
Yeah, the condoms.
Like, and then he like throws his friend under the fucking bus for it. So like that in itself, I was like, this definite douche. And then this case progressively, like, you don't give a shit about this character anyway. And so then he gets in the car and he's like, gonna, like, she's asleep, I'm gonna cop a feel and grab her boobie and all this stuff. And I was just like, you motherfucker. And then Nick's like, the blob's gonna explode out of her. And I was like,
as a joke, wouldn't it be awesome?
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? And I was like, that could probably happen. And then there you go, the motherfucker gets eaten by the blob that explodes out of her. I kind of felt bad that she died, but then we realized that everybody was getting killed in this movie, so it didn't matter. But I was like, haha, you got killed before you got a feel, like. And then like her face that they turned into, like, when it turned into the blob piece, I didn't necessarily like it that much.
I loved it. It's like caving in.
Yeah, it just didn't work for me
it's
as
like
much
when
as
you
like
take a baby doll from the 80s and push its face in. I loved it.
Yeah, and then I loved that scene. It was just kind of like, haha, you got what you wanted, you douchebag. But yeah, that was fun. Like, it was definitely a unique take on what you would normally see in a lot of these movies. Because like, if you take it the same year, right? So Killer Clowns from Outer Space happens the same year. They go around and they're using their rays to get people with their candy, literally cotton candy, and you get like unique kills, or not like kills, like takes in this movie than you do. And I liked that about that movie, but I think this movie does it way better. And like, I liked, like, even the ceiling at the
that was
the theater was absolutely insane. I thought it was beautifully made. I loved that. I mean, all of them were, and then like even in the underneath in the whatever that was, the tunnels, the boy, Nick's like, they're not gonna kill a boy.
Oh yeah.
All right, real
They
quick
did.
before we get into all of that,
Okay.
what was your guys' favorite kill? Because like we're going through all of them, I just
I
kind of
know.
want to get what everybody's.
I don't even know.
Mine was the dishwasher.
Oh, really? Through the
Yeah,
pipe?
that was
The sink. Yeah.
yeah, that was
That's
interesting.
clever.
Yeah, it was.
Mine's a tie. There is the kid that we're getting ready to talk about. I won't go into detail right now.
Yeah.
Because it caught me completely off guard. There's so many.
Yeah.
The date rapey scene.
Yeah.
That fucking blew my mind. And then when you see the sheriff fucking dissolving, those were just amazing to me.
I agree. I thought they were all. I don't think I have a favorite. Like the coolest looking one was the theater one, like the aftermath. You don't really see it happen,
Yeah.
but like the aftermath of seeing him on the ceiling and stuff. That was just neat in itself. They just did a really cool job of just making it visually awesome. But like as of the kills, I would say the one that, like you said, that takes you out of your element the most is the kid one.
Yeah, so you're getting ready to say something about the kid one.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because we're like literally watching and Nick's like, they're not going to off this kid because she jumps back in the water to go help this kid. And the next thing you know, this kid comes back out of the water and he's just covered in this fucking blob and then he gets taken off. And I was like, holy shit, they really did off this kid. And I was like, well, he's not the brother, so it doesn't really matter. And he kind of came across as the douchebag also in this movie. And he was the one that was like coercing the kid to go to this horror movie with him and all this stuff.
They're going to go see Garden Massacre 3, I think is what it was
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
That scene when they're in the movie theater watching it made me laugh so hard. They're like, it's like, oh, they're like some people making out, and it's like, it seems really late to be like trimming the hedges and stuff. And then he turns around, it's like, isn't hockey season over? And the guy comes down with hedge clippers and kills him. Fucking love that shit.
Yeah, and then the guy behind him that gets off too was funny because it was like he was having a problem with him at the theater the whole time. So that was all like fun little things that were added to it. The only thing about the blob that I didn't necessarily care for was its tentacles that came out.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Meatwad when he would grow arms.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right. It is.
When it's going down the main street and it just flops and like sticks a person to it.
Yeah.
All I could think of was
that made
him.
me laugh because there's like some
Yes.
composite shots of like this like big thing of gack rolling around, and you can tell that it's like imposed on top of the other shot and everything.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that's of its time. They said like they were going, like they could have done CG for the blob, but they said it was so much in its infancy that they went practical for it, which I'm so happy that they did because it would have looked fucking horrible.
Because there are, like you said, there are some certain bits where you can tell that there's overlay and it just doesn't, it takes you out of it. When the people are running, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, like the slap of the body that like turns into like and then goes down, and you can totally tell that what it is. And I was just like, that was the worst one I thought for me when it was in the road. But I thought for the most part they did a decent job.
Yeah, anytime that the blob is rolling deep in the streets and stuff like that, it looks ridiculous. But I can offset that because every time it's fucking getting people, it's amazing. Like there's the time when they're like getting locked up in like the courthouse or something, and it's like the deputy or whatever gets pulled through the door, and it literally just
about that.
bends him in half and pull like not like leaning forward, like collapses him backwards through it. I'm just like that shit's fucking
13
amazing.
Ghosts. They did that in 13 Ghosts too with the car, and I was like,
did they?
Yeah, the first.
Oh yeah, the very beginning, the best part of the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I always like those scenes. I don't know why. It's just weird. Like it's the backwards movement, I guess.
And that's the thing is like this movie. I guess I mean if this movie were scary to you or whatever, like it doesn't come off as scary to me, and obviously it doesn't come off scary to an 8-year-old, right? Is Wyatt 8?
He's
9 now. He's fresh 9.
Fresh 9.
Like he can see through it and be like, it's ridiculous. But like if it were to scare you, it's because of how abruptly like people are getting it. Like it's very I don't want to say jump scare, but you're just not expecting it. Like the kid scene is insane because like he's like running, they're like trying to get out of the sewers and stuff. He gets pulled under the water and you're like, oh fuck. Okay, they killed the kid. Nope, the kid comes bursting out of the water again, and they have him tied to the special effects setup for this. They have him tied to like a rig that like he literally is jumping for her, and they just yank that motherfucker back into the water. So that's why it looks so violent. and everything is because it wasn't like, all right, jump forward and then no, it's like go for her and we'll pull you back whenever we feel like it. And that's why it looks so real in that sense of like coming forward and just getting yanked back while you're still trying to get out. And yeah, I was just like, holy shit, they are not fucking pulling any punches. There is like, yeah, you killed off Paul earlier, which is like, oh, okay, no one's safe, but it's like, you're killing fucking kids? Okay.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
shit
but
doesn't happen.
it makes sense. It doesn't, but I think it makes sense for this movie.
Oh, 100%. And it also kills a rat.
Yeah, it does.
Because
Yeah.
they're like, where'd the rat go? And like that, the sewer scene is actually probably, in my book, it's probably one of the most tense scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's not, I don't think there's a lot of tension because it's so much like, ha, gotcha, ha, gotcha. But that's like the one like pursuit, like trying to get the fuck out of there. That and the diner scene, which are kind of tied together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That
but I
idea of like being captive with it and trying to get away instead of it just like overtaking
And
something.
And you can't see it because it's under the water,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, so.
I want to know how Brian was able to get into the sewer, but then miraculously couldn't figure his way out of the sewer with the motorcycle.
I must have been looking down at one point because he just showed up in the sewer to me.
Yeah,
I missed,
exactly.
but there is like he was.
There is a scene that shows you how he gets in the sewer.
But then how could he not get out? Like everything was a dead end. I had a problem with that. Like the fire escape in the theater was to a dead end alley.
Yeah, that
and the
was
sewer
that
just
was
constant dead ends.
yeah.
Hey,
That's you're not wrong. That's true.
I've never been to a skiing town, so maybe this is just how it is. I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe
I don't
they've got
know.
weird, shifting, labyrinthian
It's just
sewers
death
and
traps.
yeah. I
Yeah,
don't fucking know.
literally.
You
Yeah.
must ski.
Yeah. The motorcycle thing made sense because like he got into like an outlet thing and then like he came back through and then whatever way he could have probably gone back was where the blob was.
Oh,
So I'm thinking he just couldn't go back
Okay.
through where he had already been because of that, because it was in its way. So like that part, I believe that was my take of it, I guess.
That's how
but
you rationalize
yeah,
it.
I was like, it's fine. It's no, but then he like does kind of a cool thing to get around it. He's like, fuck this, we're getting
Yeah.
out this way. And he like goes up
Woo.
on the wall. And I was like, that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
does a fucking
cheesy,
kickflip with
kinda
it.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's also
That's
when
the
they
whole reason why he couldn't get out was so they could like let's do some sweet
Yeah.
motorcycle moves.
That's right. It's true. Yeah. And then they show us in the beginning, he sucks at motorcycles. And then now
He
he's great
does.
at them.
He
And then
leveled
at the
up.
end, he's like getting the cheesiest part, honestly, of this whole movie that I absolutely did not like was the fact that he's like running from these fucking guys after finding out like they're behind the scenes because he's going to go get his motorcycle. So it makes sense. He's running from them and there's like they're on fucking trucks and they're shooting guns just randomly.
Truck crash.
Yeah. And
Well,
then
that truck crash though, that's all done one shot in camera with the truck crashing, a helicopter flying over, and the motorcycle jumping the gap. That is all like actually done, which is
well,
amazing.
that's amazing. But like at the same time, I'm like, there's no way that there's gonna be some motherfuckers in this and they're just gonna be randomly shooting. You have no idea if you have bystanders. Obviously, they don't care.
They don't care.
I know, but at the same time, I'm just like, this is stupid. I did not like that. I mean, the jump was like, I was like, yay, that was.
He did it.
She jumped off the
Yes.
couch and was like, fucking get it, Brian.
Yep, that was so me. But I mean, they foreshadowed this a little bit, but and I was like, well, okay, he made it this time.
I think
so
that was like
good.
that was like the most Flanagan foreshadowing for me. It was just like, oh, and he crashes on it. I'm like, he's gonna be jumping that gap.
Yeah.
The rest of the
Yeah.
foreshadowing wasn't obvious, but that one
No.
was very obvious.
Yeah.
And then I took pause with the fact that then the scientists, we know that that's just a ravine.
Yes.
It's not like a river or anything. But then the scientists just stopped at the bridge and couldn't just like go down and
And
go
they-
back up.
They have helicopters. They didn't need to chase
Exactly.
him down on foot
He's like,
and like
"Ah,
with trucks.
shit."
Just fucking track
Yeah.
him with
No.
a helicopter.
Yeah.
Again, though, they're scientists. Like they might
A lot of
they-
logistical
they
problems
know,
with
they
this.
know
Yeah.
bacteria, kind of. They don't know chasing down mullets. Okay.
But then they carry machine guns.
Right.
So
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just
it was the
it
80s.
is-
Everybody
it
had a
is.
machine gun in a film.
That's actually very true, or something along those lines. Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought it was entertaining. So
Yeah, this is definitely a movie that you have to like, you go into it. I mean, who's going to go into a film called The Blob and be like, this is going to be a very serious like character development thought study on
Yeah.
the follies of man, which it kind of does deal with a little bit with like, the scientific hubris and stuff of sending shit into space
Yeah.
and just being like,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I knew what I was in for because the films that, and I think I told you girls, like, this movie gets kind of like, if you've seen The Thing and you've seen Reanimator and you've seen this stuff, this is on that same list. And I just hadn't seen it specifically for the reason it's like, it's the fucking Blob. I'm not going to watch the fucking Blob. And then, like, I'd
Mhm.
just seen it on so many lists. I'd been recommended it, like, online and stuff. So I was like, fine, I'll throw it on the list because we're kind of like, we did vampires. Now we're doing a creature feature. Next
Mhm.
week's films kind of in the film after that. We're kind of in a run. So I was like, this will be the perfect spot to put it. I don't
Yeah.
know where else we would put it. So
Yeah.
but yeah, then like when they're like shooting down into the manhole, they drop the explosives and everything. I was like, it would be awesome. I don't think they're gonna do it, but it would be awesome if this motherfucker just erupts out of the sewer, like is massive. That would be awesome. It'll get a whole point if it does it. And before I'm even done with that thought, that fucker burst from it, just
Mhm.
starts going to town. I was like, hell yeah, this movie. It's almost like I wrote this movie. Like it's just like doing everything. It's like, see that kid? We're gonna eat that kid. See that restaurant worker? We're gonna smash her. Nobody's safe, and I loved that about this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it doesn't have a mind in the sense it's just hungry. So
Yeah.
I like the idea of like you don't even have to know what its intentions are because you already know what its intentions are.
Yep.
Like it's not that
Hungry.
thought process. Yeah, it's its own character because of that. So I thought that was a unique take on this because you don't get that very often.
And I don't know if they made a sequel, but they set it up to have like a master villain kind of sequel,
Oh
which
yeah, that ending.
I would like to see, just like as like it's gonna be campy, schlocky, whatever. But
Yeah.
like you've got this roadside fucking tent preacher that has a blob that's fire and brimstone, and he's gonna use it as the end of the world and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd fucking love to see that. I'm gonna have to look to see if that exists. But yeah, that I was like, all right, they set it up for. Obviously, they didn't get to make a
They
sequel directly, but maybe
no.
there was a straight to video sequel that follows that storyline or something.
Yeah, I thought that was a good way of like, if this movie does well, maybe we can kind of whatever. But if not, it's totally okay too. It's like kind of like that open ending,
Yeah,
and that made it a little bit more enjoyable because it wasn't like it was gone, gone. It was like we think it's gone, but it's
yes.
not really.
You
So
think you know, but you have no idea.
yeah,
The real
yeah,
world Blob
The
edition.
Blob.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
So
you girls want to get into reviews and stuff, unless you've got anything
mhm.
else you want to speak
Yeah.
on.
I guess the only thing is that who is our favorite character in this movie, and then what did we think of the acting overall?
My favorite character in the film was the pharmacist
Okay.
because I fucking love, like, I thought he was great. The weird like little side story, like we barely even touched on it, but where Paul is going to be taking out Meg, but then date rapist guy is getting getting his own condoms, but is like kind of weirded out because the priest is there. So he pins it on Paul that he's getting condoms for Paul to this pharmacist. Turns out that the girl that Paul's going to go out with is the daughter of the pharmacist, and just like that whole like thing. I
Yeah.
just really liked his character because like Brian and Meg and all that stuff, it's just like whatever. But like the pharmacist made me laugh. Like I just really like that character.
Mm. Yeah, he was funny. What do you got, Tasha?
The Blob.
Okay.
The Blob's
The
your
Blob
favorite
is my favorite character.
I didn't know I could pick that. I want to
Why
go back.
not?
The
It's a
Blob.
character in
Sure,
the
yeah, the
movie.
Blob. I second that. Go on.
Yes.
I wasn't a huge fan of the acting, but I mean it's an '80s movie, so
Yeah.
I
It's
thought it
always
was
over the top.
serviceable. I thought it was
Yeah.
serviceable. It did the
okay.
job.
But I didn't really care for the two main characters.
That's fair.
But the Blob was
You like the
Yeah.
was a
Blob?
fan.
You like it, a Blob? You like it, a Blob? You want some extra of the Blob?
Yeah, I like the Blob too, but I do think that Brian was a better actor than the female was in this. I didn't care for her character. I don't know why. Like, I wish they would have cast somebody like the act, or maybe they just wrote differently. I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
kind of like, well, we can get out and get away from all of this. And then one part, and she was like, I'm still staying with the government vehicle to go into town. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you that dumb? Like, you have to know. Like, he knows. Yeah, I thought that was just dumb. I actually really liked the cop that gets offed
Yeah.
pretty early on. I thought he was like very fair, like, but I always side with the bad boys, so I liked Brian. So
I
in that
like
sense,
the cop and Brian's like interaction like early in the movie. He pulls up, he's like, I hear someone's got a birthday coming up. Like no more juvie for you. I'll be coming for you if you fuck up. I was
Yeah.
like, that's like that's some pretty decent like writing personally. Like I was just like, all right, like it doesn't have to go heavy handed into anything. It's just the cops like, I know you fuck up a lot. You're
Yep.
gonna be old enough. You better fucking smarten up. And it doesn't help Brian. Brian's just like, I don't like authority.
Right.
Yeah.
He even says that. Like,
Yeah,
it
he
didn't
legit-
need to be said.
Yeah.
I've got a
Yeah.
problem with authority. Like, that's just
I
bad
know.
writing.
He reminds me, and this is why I probably like his character. He reminds me of Johnny Depp in the Crybaby movie. And
Oh
like
yeah.
they both ride motorcycles, they both wear leather jackets, they both have the fuck the world, except Johnny Depp is like 1,000 times better looking. But like other than that, it's like that very like we have the good girl with the bad boy, and like except this is the Blob, and that was actually like a romance story that was. There was a huge difference in plot. But
We had to like actually while watching it when Brian like shows up and everything, I was like, holy shit, is that Ethan Hawke? Like, is
Yeah.
that a young Ethan Hawke? Like, if you just look at Ethan Hawke, like as a young man, and then just like put a fucking like wig on him, I thought that's who it was. And then
I
I was
did
like,
too.
hey, there's something here. Like, I can't figure it out. And then it was just like, oh, it's Matt Dillon's brother, Kevin Dillon. Okay.
Yep.
But like, I haven't looked at Ethan Hawke since the movie, but that's what my first initial response was. Tasha's
Yeah.
currently looking up Ethan Hawke. She doesn't see
I
it.
don't see it. Mm-mm. I think it's because of the mullet.
Yeah.
Because
Probably.
like older Kevin Dillon, I could see a resemblance with short hair, but not in this movie. I was thinking he looked like a dead ringer for somebody out of the Lost Boys.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, oh that mullet. Oh, definitely. My God.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Lost Boys has like Kiefer Sutherland's mullet in the fucking Lost Boys is
Maybe that's
possibly the greatest mullet. Like this one is majestic, but the other one is like poster child mullet. Like
Yeah,
people saw that movie and was just like, I want to
Literally,
be
they
him.
have that hair.
I want to be
that.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is
And-
true.
And you said, Steph, have you watched The Lost Boys, or is that the one that you said you? Oh my
I
God!
have not. I've seen bits and pieces
Wow.
So
of it,
here-
but I haven't seen it
I'm really
from.
surprised by that.
So
I
here's
know, all the way through.
thing. Here's the thing. Okay, so like you like Brian because he's the bad boy in this, and leather jacket. You
Yeah.
like Johnny Depp. Oh baby, are you gonna love The Lost Boys?
There's a lot of leather jackets.
Yeah,
Kiefer Sutherland is the heartthrob in that movie.
I
and,
knew
Mhm.
that.
and there's so many heartthrobs in that movie. We'll cover that later on this year. Like it's definitely coming up. But yeah, oh my God, if you don't
It's a great
remember it or
movie.
whatever, I've seen that
I
movie so
don't.
many times.
I
Mhm.
saw it. If I saw it, I saw it once, and it was only like bits and pieces of it. I don't think I was like consciously watching the whole thing. I do know of it because it lives in the world of vampires and like it's very popular.
That's
but
what
I just
blows
don't
my
think
mind.
I've ever seen it.
It is one of the most popular vampire movies ever
I know.
made, and you are a slut for vampires, and
I
you're
know,
just like,
but I've never seen I've never seen Dracula either with Keanu Reeves. I've seen bits and pieces of
Oh,
it, but I've never
the
watched the whole thing.
Bram Stoker
Bram
one in the
Stoker,
90s.
yeah, yeah, and that's very popular too. And it's just not.
I wouldn't say it's popular. I would say it's infamous because Keanu Reeves puts on one of the worst Southern accents,
Oh,
or like
boy.
old English accents, and just keeps dropping in and out of it. It's like,
Yeah, but you have to
whoa,
think like
Dracula, no.
yeah. I mean, you have to think about it. Like, I also hadn't seen Death Becomes Her until this year either.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah,
those,
that movie
those are some-
slaps.
yeah. Oh my god, that movie's so good. So,
All right. Let's get into reviews.
yeah.
All right. I'll start, but you girls got to think, what did Nick give this film?
Okay,
I
know,
have,
I think
I have
I
a
know.
number.
I've got
I'm
mine.
I'm gonna say 8.
7.5.
8.5.
Oh,
This movie, I was shocked because I kept like the thing I kept comparing it to was my other what I think is an 8 film in my head, which is Reanimator, and I was like, I actually think I like this more than Reanimator.
Oh
Just
my
Whoa.
god, what the fuck?
I know.
Whoa.
Just because. So Reanimator, I love Reanimator. No shade being thrown at Reanimator. Not even trying to, right? But there's a lot of downtime in Reanimator. This movie doesn't. I could throw this movie on and it's just like basically like you get like 15 minutes into it and it's just like go 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 and it doesn't
Yeah.
barely fucking let up. Where Reanimator, it does, but it gets like Reanimator gets so much crazier at the end. So I love Reanimator. We're not covering that. If you want to hear my take on Reanimator, go back and listen to it. If you really want to hear some takes on it, the girls have some for you.
Oh shit, yes we do. My god.
But
Yes.
yeah, I was like, I'd never seen this, and I was just like, I really fucking like this movie. I kind of want to watch it again right now. Like,
Hmm.
it was so much fun. Like that was the thing. It was so
Mhm.
much fun. and I'm so glad that I can't even remember who it was that thank you out there, whoever it was that was just like, oh, you got your taste, you got to watch the Blob. And I was like, fine, I'll watch it. I was expecting to come into this be like, it sucked. Like I was expecting like a couple cool kills, but this movie has like fucking like nonstop cool kills. Like it's literally like what people think of like the Terrifier movies now, where it's just like, oh man, it's just kill after kill after kill. It's like, yeah, that's this. It's just nonstop. So yeah, 8.5. I fucking
Okay.
love this shit. We'll see where it's at after a few more viewings, but like my initial first
Yeah.
take, I fucking love this movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, what do we got for you, Tasha? What do
Are you
we
guys
got your number
guessing?
in your head? Yep.
Yeah.
You got your number? Okay.
I'm gonna guess Tasha gives it a 5.5.
I'm gonna guess Tasha gives it a 5.
Tasha's giving it a 4.
Oh,
Okay.
fuck you. A 4?
Are you surprised?
Yes,
I-
I expected you'd be like, you know what? If it was on again, I'd probably watch it again. But no.
I mean, I wouldn't seek it out to watch it again if it
Okay.
was already
Fuck
on.
this podcast. I'm out of here.
Nick's headphones are off. He's off screen.
Yeah.
If like, I don't know, say why put it on, or I came
Yes.
over and it was on at your guys' house, I would sit down and probably play on my phone while it played in the background.
Okay.
I wouldn't actively leave the area if it were on. Some of the kills were cool. The Blob was cool. I didn't care for any of the humans in this. I didn't like the acting. The pacing
Okay.
was really good, but the human component, and I didn't think the writing was super great. And I'm not a huge fan of monster movies. So right there
Gasp.
was the fact that it had that twist of it being like a government conspiracy trying to be hidden. That gave it, I would say, an extra half a point for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm
So-
trying to think of like a movie, a creature feature that like that's an actual like this that we've watched that you've liked. I think there's been 2. Like I think you liked Evil Dead 2, right?
That's,
Like, I
I
don't
would,
think
I,
I don't
even though
think
that's
she-
monsters, that's more like demons. So do you
Yeah.
consider demons
it's-
monsters? I mean, that's completely
It's still
up to
practical
interpretation.
effects is what I'm talking about. Like it's still a
Oh.
lot of like unique practical
I
effects.
get ya. Well, Tasha, I don't think Tasha's a big 80s
No.
horror person.
But I think she
No.
liked that movie and maybe
Yeah.
not loved it, but I can't remember. I'd have to look at her
she
ratings.
gave it a decent
did-
score.
yeah,
Way
she didn't
higher
hate
than a
it.
4. It was probably in the 6s.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
know she also liked The Void, so like that also
But
has
that's
is a
But
creature
that's
feature
new.
too.
Yeah, she did like that one, but
It's new, but there's also once again there's another component to it. So if
Yeah.
it's just the monster
You want more
taking
than
taking
just
care of
that.
business, I don't care about that. Just like
Okay.
a monster destroying people and like you're just like surviving. I can only think of one movie where that is the case, where it's a pure survival movie, and the main reason why I like it is because the ending is so incredible.
Okay.
But
I
I'm not
think
going to say it because
I think I know it. Did we already mention it in this because it's written by Frank Darabont?
yeah. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well,
but
I can-
that's just
you
because
can
of the
say it.
ending.
You can say it.
Just
The
don't say the
Mist.
ending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
mist.
I love The Mist because of the ending.
Okay.
And the characters within, like, but I'm not a huge fan of just trying to get away from something
Okay.
in a lot of
That's-
cases,
that's fair.
unless it's like people trying to get away from people.
I'm going to pose a question after we get through reviews that this has brought to my attention that I want to find out what your girls' take and my take is on. So,
Okay.
all right, so
Well,
And
you
yeah,
said a-
Steph, you were right. I did like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That movie is just, and that I love that movie because of all of the creative
yeah.
effects to it.
The costumes and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. What do you guys think I rated this?
I think Steph's giving it a 7.
Okay.
I think Steph is giving it a 7.
I'm giving this a 7.5.
Nice. Hell
Wow.
yeah.
I actually
I know
like
why
this.
I married this woman.
Wow.
I'm going to be honest. I was literally like slopping my feet down the stairs because I did not want to watch this movie yesterday. I was like, do I have to do this? And then I got into it and it was like, I would say it immediately, like I said, it took you into Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I like this way better than Killer Clowns from Outer Space, only for my personal taste. I am like Nick. I like the gloopy stuff. I actually wish this had more gore. It didn't have enough
Hell yeah.
gore. I prefer that, but not Dead Alive gore. That was fucking
Well,
stupid.
if you'd like to learn more about Dead Alive, well, God, you guys, Dead Alive,
But
Evil Dead 2, The Void,
yeah,
go back through our
go look and watch our
episodes.
videos. Yeah,
Yeah.
Reanimator, all of those. So yeah, I was like, this is a quintessential 80s movie. I mean, it really, really is. But I would say for me, this is up there with Evil Dead 2 in the sense of like, it
Damn.
offers all of the things that I want in a movie. Like, I thought it was well written. I thought it was well shot. I thought it was entertaining. Like, I would probably say, and I don't even know where my rating is with Evil Dead 2. So, but I would say it's probably Evil Dead 2 might skate above it just a little bit in the sense because it has a lot more blood and you just can't have another Bruce Campbell that
Exactly.
I mean
Yeah.
that it's the acting in that movie realistically. He is just fucking phenomenal. And like that's the only difference. But you definitely root for the main character in that movie versus this one. It's just like this is cool to watch. I wouldn't even have cared if you killed the main characters in this movie. I thought it was decently acted. I just didn't in the cheesy factor way. Like, but I like campy movies and like weird movies like that, so it's fine. But yeah, I kind of wish the Blob would have won and would have killed
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, honestly, you're rooting for the bad guy in this movie,
Yep.
and that was enjoyable to me. Obviously they wouldn't want it to end that way, and I did like the ending. I thought it was like a good opening for like, ooh, what are we gonna do next? Which weirdly enough, it just has nothing to do with the fucking Blob. It reminded me a little bit of like the X guy. Like the end of the X is like
Oh, yeah.
they're talking like preacher-esque, and like the end of this was preacher-esque. So I was like, that's kind of like reminiscent of that. So anyway, yeah, that's why I gave it 7.5. I would watch this movie again. I don't know, like Nick said, if my second viewing of this would I would feel as enthusiastic about it. But sometimes I watch horror movies again and I like them even more because I have one that I talk about every single episode that I won't talk about this time that I feel that way about. So anyway,
it's
there's
trick or treat if you weren't
is.
aware.
It
Oh, I
is.
thought it was The Exorcist.
I know.
The
Yes.
Exorcist.
Wait,
in
was
every
it not
episode.
Buffy? Was it not Buffy?
Yes, yes. Me and Tasha are big lovers of Exorcist and Buffy.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
If
yeah.
you if you want us to watch
movies.
more Exorcist films, make sure to
God.
email us at podofthedead666 at gmail.com.
Honestly,
There's
the other
actually
ones
a
are probably better.
there's actually a film that has been getting a lot of traction, getting sent to me that I will tell you girls off air that we may get pushed up further up, and it's specifically because of Tasha. So
Fuck you.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
No,
It was
you're
not
right.
me.
I already
What?
know. I already know what it is.
So I'm not going to put it on air because I don't want, because I say it on air, that everyone's like emailing and fucking sending messages like, you have to watch this, you have to watch this. But
Yeah.
it was brought up a couple different times from a few different people, and one of them was specifically, I want to hear Tasha's take on this film.
Oh, wow.
So,
All
so what does
right.
that give us? What's that give us for our final score there, Tasha?
That gives The Blob a 67%.
Yeah, I think you're more than likely going to like this. If I think the thing is like if you like 80s horror, you're going to fucking love this. Like
Yeah.
I think the barrier to entry. If you're not into 80s horror, you're not going to like it. But if you like
You
80s
like creature
horror,
features,
yep.
practical effects,
This is
cheesy acting.
This is basically
perfect.
just Godzilla if it were like made by Jello.
No.
No, it
No.
is. It is. Creature comes, destroys everybody. Scientists try to stop it. That's it. Like that is Godzilla. Not the newer Godzillas, but the premise of what Godzilla is.
That's true.
And that's why Wyatt likes it. He's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
always
That's
roots
true.
for the monster.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Always
yeah.
roots for the monster.
Yeah. That fits for him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. You girls got anything that you want to champion? I'll start to give you girls a little bit of thought, but like mine's short and sweet because I don't want to ruin anything. I went and saw Long Legs opening night, and it's by Osgood Perkins, the guy that did Black Coat's Daughter. We reviewed that back a ways during our May 24 month, and it was really fucking good. Now, what I keep seeing online and stuff is some people were biting into the hype of how it was being sold to them, and they were underwhelmed because, like almost every other fucking horror film, it had on it like scariest movie of the last decade or whatever. That's obviously up to interpretation, person to person. You can't go into a movie reading that and expect it to be. I think the scariest movies are the ones that you're not expecting.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're gonna probably hear like, because there was like some people on TikTok and everything that were like, it was mid and blah blah blah. They said that it was gonna be this, and it's just like, no, 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 no. You can't take any of that. You have to go in. You saw the trailer, and you're like, that looks interesting enough to go watch, and then just accept it for what it is. For what it is, I thought it was phenomenal. I think it's Osgood Perkins' best film. It's dark, it's bleak. If you want something that's like, it touches on Silence of the Lambs and Seven and stuff like that, which obviously that's my fucking jam. Yeah, check it out. Especially if you can see it in theaters. When I went and saw it, it was Thursday, legit first showing here in town. That theater was fucking packed, and
Oh, cool.
you could hear a pin drop once that movie started because it was silent. And like when shit would happen, you would hear gasps and stuff in it. And yeah, if you get a chance, check it out in theaters. I know that it might not be with how our drops go and everything, but go into it, dark room, some popcorn, and watch it. Get yourself engrossed. It's 2 hours, like just a little over 2 hours, but it paced really well. I think it is a slower burn, but his films are like that. But it's engrossing. It's not slow, like just boring slow. It's like, okay, what's going on? Because it's very mysterious, and it has some twists and turns that you're not expecting and everything. I thought I was ahead of the movie. I was not.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
long legs. Oh yeah, Nicolas Cage is in it. Fucking great. So yeah, that's mine.
Okay. What do you got, Tasha? You got anything for this week?
Yeah, I have two. One
Okay.
is a little bit of a reiteration of you guys' discussion last week. We went and
Okay.
saw A Quiet Place.
Oh,
day
did you?
one.
Good. Okay.
Yeah,
And
loved it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
Love Lupita Nyong'o. Love the cat. I love the dynamic of the two main characters.
Yeah.
I have to say it's probably my second favorite in the franchise series.
You still
like
like the
the
first
after
one?
the
best?
first one. After the first
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
But really like that one. And then
It's
my
acceptable.
second-
You're allowed to be wrong. It's okay.
shut your mouth. I'm sticking with it. My second one is a completely like out like in
Okay.
left field. Last night the three of us went to a comedy magician hypnotist show at our
Okay.
local amphitheater. His name's David Anthony. He's based out of Cleveland and travels like internationally putting on magic shows. And
Hell
the
yeah.
dude was fucking incredible. I laughed so hard. I actually went up on stage and did the hypnosis portion of the
Ooh.
show too,
Did
which
it work?
was it did, yeah.
What?
I'm very like
Is there video of this?
yes.
Oh
there
my
is
god,
video.
please send it. We'll post it on Instagram and shit.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but
we got to.
I'll at least send it to you guys.
Tasha got hypnotized.
I got hypnotized with a big group of people. It was so much fun. So if you ever get a chance to see David Anthony perform, I highly recommend it.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I can't wait to see this video.
It was so much fun.
All right.
And just hypnosis in general. If you ever find yourself like at a hypnotist show, get yourself on stage. It's so much fun.
I'm good. I don't need to be dropped into the dark recesses of my
I was just
psyche.
thinking that exact
That's
same
not
thing.
how it works. That's not it. Like
I don't know.
like the way he described it and the way that I can describe it is like you're so chill
Uh-huh.
and you're just like up for suggestion.
Yeah,
like, you
I don't need that.
care
I
what
don't
he's
want-
doing.
Yeah,
You
I'm
like
good.
you just kind of give all of your like I don't know, you just
He gave you
just
verbal
care.
rehypnol.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
That's cool though. That's
I'm
right.
glad. I'm glad. That is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will go Google him. What was his name again?
David Anthony.
There you
All
go.
right.
Okay. I have one thing for this week, kind of, sort of, I guess. I was struggling for this week. I'm gonna say that if you live under a fucking rock and
I
you've
do.
never heard of Vikings, the new season of Valhalla, which is a Netflix original, is just coming out this week. So in internet world, we're a little bit behind, or you guys will be a little bit behind, because of when this comes out. But
Yeah, we release about a week after we record. That's it.
yeah. So, So I watched the entire Vikings series, which is the one that everybody's heard of, that like the History Channel I think came out with, and it has like follows Ragnar Lothbrok and then his storyline with his kids and everything that is like after that. And I fucking love that show. It was amazing. and it was just addicting, and a lot of these stories are actually based on true stories, but like fictionalized then to make them, obviously. And so this is no different than that. Like, you get Leif Erikson in the series of Valhalla, which is like a known explorer and all this kind of stuff. So I liked this just as much as I liked the original Vikings, and now they have season 3 out. So if you're down with all of that, and learning about, it's kind of rough, all the religious stuff, seeing firsthand, especially if you're religious, to see how horrible the Catholic Church is. You should definitely be aware of when you're watching this, because I was watching the new episode, and I was just like, because right now they're going through and they're talking about the old gods, because we've progressed from the old Vikings to now from the old gods, which some people that are Vikings still believed in, and then we are now moving into people being Christian. And so the fight between all of that is very, very big in all of the series, and it's intense, and the Catholic Church is not very good. So let's just be honest here, especially portrayed in these shows. So yeah, I would say go watch it. It's definitely well acted, and it's just a really good show. So
Hell yeah. So the question that I want to pose to you girls will set up basically our homework. Okay.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it's not that, like, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So previously we had talked about like what constitutes a monster when like Evil Dead 2 was brought up and everything. Like, what do you consider a monster, right? So like a monster movie.
Okay.
So like the Blob. The Blob's a monster movie because it's a creature feature.
Correct.
But Evil Dead 2, do you consider that a monster movie, or is it like a possession demon movie? Like, that's kind of like what I'm getting at. Like, so what is that to you?
Okay.
That's like a possession movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Demons
But
and such.
it's not a monster movie to you?
It's not a monster movie, no.
Okay.
It is to me, because we have trees coming alive, and we have like weird shit. Like, yes, it is a possession movie technically, but
well, not technically. It's a matter of interpretation.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to kind of see.
yeah,
from
I
your
mean,
girl's
but it is
perspective.
because of the whole Necronomicon concept. But like, it's, to me, it doesn't matter what the foundation is. It's what your execution is. So like, if the execution creates a monster out of it, which Evil Dead 2 does, to me it's a creature feature anyhow.
Okay.
Like, regardless of the intention of it.
Are witch movies? Are those monster movies? Do you constitute a witch as a monster?
I also
No.
don't. They're witches.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. What about vampires? Are they monsters?
Depending on the movie.
Okay. Like,
Oh, that's a tough one.
see, this is because they're monsters. Of like, if you think of universal
Technically,
monsters,
the universal monsters. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so, like, it's one of those-
Frankenstein, all of them. Yeah.
like they are. But like, do you think of vampire movies as monster movies?
I think all
See,
of that
if you
stuff
put it in
technically
that
is.
sentence, then no. I consider them vampire movies, not
Okay.
monster movies. They're in
I
their
think-
own little category.
Yeah, I think they're all monsters. I just look at monsters and creatures differently, in the sense of like the way that they're portrayed. Yeah, but they are all monsters technically. I mean, vampires are monsters.
What about-
Zombies are monsters. They're
So, like, but like, you think of a zombie film as a monster film, or is it? Do you? Where I'm going with this
it
is like a
could be.
werewolf monster movie, or
That's
is it
definitely technically yes. Like, the
Your
Wolfman is
take?
supposed to be a monster. If you look at the actual rules of that, yes. Like, are they creature features? I don't know. Depends on how they're created, but
do you
I
think,
guess
Tasha?
technically.
I think where I kind of draw the line is the Blob is one thing. So
Yes.
the Blob is a monster. Anything that is only one, I throw that into like the broad category of monster.
Okay.
But then you have so many different like examples of vampires. So there's
Yes.
enough of that to be in its own category.
So
Possession
Okay.
movies. There's enough demon movies to put in its own possession. And then you have
Okay.
your exorcism movies. And then you have like, if you want to go broader, like your kaiju movies. They're monsters, but there's enough of them that they have their own category.
That's
Okay.
true.
Where like I can't think of a ton of monsters, but yeah, like obviously the Blob, I guess the Void, but the Void could also be like a cult movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like werewolf is, you don't constitute those as monster movies as much as a werewolf movie.
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
what about Frankenstein? The Frankenstein's
Well,
monster.
hold on. I want to give out our homework because
Okay.
we're doing a werewolf movie.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So next week for homework, and then we'll continue this conversation because this is pretty
Okay.
interesting. Not tomorrow. For homework next week, we are going to be watching the werewolf film Dog Soldiers. I believe it came out in
Okay.
2002, so it's
Okay.
more recent. We're out of the 80s, Tasha.
Woo!
But so we did vampires, we did a creature feature. Now we're
Okay.
going to do a werewolf film, and then
We're out of the 1900s, is why it would say.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell them to step off.
We're in the
Yeah.
new millennia.
Yeah.
But what were you saying? Frankenstein. So that's your
Yeah,
homework, guys. We're going to continue this conversation.
Yeah. So Frankenstein's monster, is that a monster technically?
Well,
Because
Frankenstein's
it's
monster is a
Is a
monster.
monster. But I mean,
Yeah.
is that
The film
so that
itself.
he would be, because he's a one-off, just like the Blob, so he would technically be falling into that. So because I always just go back to like what universal monsters are. Like I always just think about them and like, yeah, technically they're monsters.
I think about anything that can show up in the D&D monster manual is a monster to me. So like that's why I say like
Okay.
witches are
That's-
monsters. You know, like yeah, like
Do you
yes,
think
they're a cult.
dragons are do you look
Yeah.
at dragons as monsters? Okay.
Yeah, I look at a lot of things as monsters, so that's why I was very interested in
Yeah.
your guys' take on it.
That's interesting because when I think of monsters, or when I think of dragons, that falls into like the fantasy category.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantasy,
There's
but it's still
fantastical monsters of like orcs and dragons and imps.
What's that fucking Harry Potter movie? That's not Harry Potter. The
Fantastic
Mythical
Beasts.
Beasts and
Yeah,
Monsters,
that's
isn't it? Isn't that what it's like?
Fantastic Beasts.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't the book that it's based on Fantastic Beasts and Monsters or something like that?
Fantastic beasts and where to find them. I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's what it's called.
But
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's like a monster manual in a sense. So like, I always have a very wide scope, and it's like there's just different kinds of monsters. You know, you're talking
That's
about the
true.
void and the blob. It's like now we're talking about cosmic monsters. You know, shit like that. But yeah, I've always thought of like witches as monsters, and
That's
it's
hard.
interesting.
That
It's
one's really
interesting that you
hard.
guys don't think that, but I get it.
Yeah,
I get it because they're humans that are using
Right.
magic for
They're using
nefari-
magic, right?
Yeah. But like I don't know, there's because like you have the difference between like a cute hot goth like witch, but like that's not what I think of when I think witches. I think of like hags, like the fucking like
Like in The
hocus pocus. Yeah, the witch. I think of like hocus pocus before they they get themselves all tarted up and stuff when they're like all nasty and shit.
Well, good witches are attractive, and bad witches, according to Finn and Jake on Adventure Time, the ugly, like they're bad if they're ugly.
Yes, that's fair. I know I live my life by the gospels of Finn and Jake.
Yeah.
I
That's
punch you your
ridiculous.
buns. I punch you your buns. And if you are a witch, I will punch you for fun. All right.
Exactly.
So yeah, next week we're gonna do Dog Soldiers,
Okay.
and then maybe this conversation will make more sense on the film after Dog Soldiers.
Maybe.
Okay.
So who knows?
Guess we'll find out.
For Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.